So I'm currently in this trade right now. This is UJ. So this is something I want to touch on, right? Because something that I just kind of realized is I'm really good at catching this. So I just took this trade here, right? So as you can see, I went in profit. It was a couple bucks. But something I want to touch on is like I keep on getting this, right? I keep on getting these good entries that always tend to go in profit. But where I struggle is understanding like the retracements and trying to hold this. As you can see, I'm holding this now, but I'm in a little bit of drawdown. And still maintainable, right? So one thing I want to touch on is, okay, this is a higher low point, right? Based off the M30, this is like the push that we're pretty much in. So essentially, it's like this higher low point. This is what we want to see, right? We need to see this higher low point, this push, essentially push up and make a higher high, right? Because that's structure. So the minute that we don't see that, that's a sign for us. That's pretty much the sign that this move is over, right? This move did not plan out like we did, and there's no need to hold because again we didn't make a higher high, right? But now as we kind of jump down to this M5, right? M5 is what we're looking at here, right? Because based off M5, we end up breaking this little kind of miniature structure here, this little minor structure here. Then we tend to kind of make a lower low, right? And all that stuff, lower low, lower high. So then at this point in time, right, we would need to have seen some type of lower high point be broken. So this is why when we took this buy here, it wasn't bad because it was based off a higher low point, and then we also broke that down, right? But once again, this was another push now. So basically we were like in the M30 push, also an M5 push here, right? So this is this is where we would need to have seen this here be broken. The fact that we didn't break this is the reason why we shouldn't be in this trade anymore, because we understand that move there has failed. Now, can it still maintain? Yes, of course, right? It can still come down here, boom, boom, all this stuff, right? And maintain that higher low point and push up. But once again, that's not that trade, right? That's not a trade that we're trying to, like, if we want to hold that trade, okay, but understand that move there was not what we anticipated. So it all comes down to also risk to reward, meaning like at this point in time here, this is not like to our stop loss this big. It's not gonna flow. It's not gonna like be good when we try to trade gold or US30, right? Because again, there's so much more, so we have to be a lot more precise. So yeah, so understand that, okay, I'm gonna enter off this higher low point, and I understand based off what I've been understanding off structure, I need a lower high point break. If I don't get that, that's that move. That move just failed, right? And then based off lower time frames, we can pretty much see, and then it kind of goes back to like seeing that push, right? Because here we have that push. It's all just a push, right? But lower time frame, it's a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So planned out, right? That was that push. Once again, higher low, higher high. All this is playing out, right? All these pushes are playing out. So this is essentially, that was that transition down here. Once we got that, and once that transition pretty much happened, that was pretty much it. This is where we should have exit. Understood that we're not pretty much making higher highs now based off this time frame, which we need to see, right? This is the push that we need to see. So essentially, this is the, like, how do I put it? This is the higher low point on M5 that is pretty much needs to be pushed, right? And there's no other higher low point at this point here, right? So then again, this lower high point pushed down, and what did it do? It made a lower low, right? And then we pushed back up, we made a what? Lower high, and then lower low, right? Now, with that being said, based off M5, just like I said earlier, this is where we're supposed to get a lower low here. We didn't test it. This is why I'm still holding this position here, because now we're at the point where, okay, now we're kind of like at this point here where we didn't really create that lower low, lower high anymore. Here, as we're kind of creating lower highs, lower lows, and then we kind of failed. We made a support, right? And then we were supposed to make a lower high, lower low, but we didn't. This is where I'm at now here again. So now I have another opportunity, and if I go based off the M30 is still technically valid for push up, based off the fact that we're not really breaking anything. It's very, very choppy, and we're still at the end of the day, we maintain this main higher low point here, but just going based off that higher low and that higher low, and this can be another potential higher low to take this back to the upside, right? So that was that, right? So again, now looking at this in hindsight, it's like, okay, we understand that this push didn't play out, so this is not something that we would want to be a part of, but this is where essentially having the lowest entry is the best, because then we can see whether or not that'll play out, rather than trying to scale in here all this stuff. Because let's say we just would have got in here off this little higher low point, you would be in this candle up and down, so it's not something that you want to be a part of, because again, you're within that push. That's pretty much you're trying to get off that higher low point, which is still okay. Yeah, so that was pretty much what I want to get at, because again, I feel like I keep on getting this push, right? And this is where I'll tend to hold, because it's like of that, because I see a big push, and I keep on, every entry I take, I go in profit, like X amount, and then I see the retrace, and again, I feel like these are the pushes that need to pretty much happen, right? If I don't get that main push, so again, if it's not following the structure, if we're not getting a higher high, if we're not getting that, this is where we need to get out, right? Especially on lower time frames, like just this push here alone, this was all a counter trend. We never on M5 even broke a lower high point. So I'm not saying this higher low point was bad, but at this higher low point, we should have gotten a higher high at least, at minimum, right? To kind of to be able to continue this push and be able to say, okay, well, this is still a push that's still pushing, rather than this is just a retracement, or this is a push that's already failed, like right here, because we see exhaustion. So on this time frame, we don't really see that, right? So same thing comes here. So we kind of, this candle here, we push down, right, which is that push, that bearish push. We go down to lower time frame, we pick a higher low point, it's valid. Boom. Lower high point once again, boom, it's still valid, right? And again, we still end up pushing. Here at this point now, we're doing what? Maintaining that level. So this is where, again, I'm not even considering any of these breaks here, which this candle here is still active. So now, at this point in time, it's pretty much that we're at this push here that we're trying to pretty much get at now, because I'm pretty much looking at this and saying that, okay, this push is struggling, it's failing. Now it hasn't transitioned though. That's the biggest thing, is that this here has not transitioned technically, right? Because if I just look at pure structure, boom, this here, that's that trade there, right? So if I kind of want to bring this out a little bit more, it's pretty much this here. So this is still that lower high point that essentially has to be broken, because it's this candle here for all this to pretty much play out. I think that's where we just have to really. So again, and that was that push. And we got that push. So technically, this push has now failed, but this lower high point needs to be broken. So that's pretty much where we're at right now, right? This is here. Now, again, we're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. And once again, this is a push based off the M30 up here that we need now. So at this point, we need to start having to get higher low points now. And again, this is a minor trend now here that we can also see now on this time frame. So again, this is going back to, again, this is that same, just like this resistance was seen and we had to be broken here. Same thing, this lower high point now that we created, this little minor, is also something that we have to be broken now. So again, it's just about keeping in mind all these pushes. Just understand that, okay, if the higher low point that you're trying to get in, right, is not making a higher high, higher low, higher high. That's a sign for you to get out. That's a sign for you that you got that push. It's out, right? Kind of here. We didn't get that higher high. We should be out. If you want a whole structure, that's on you, right? Because again, technically, it can still push down, and like right here, how it's failing, and then it can still make a higher low. That's something that we would have to. You would have to again risk to reward, understand your position, understand all this stuff, where you are at in structure, and how to go about that. So again, I think this trade can still go as long as we can maintain here, and as long as on this time frame, more like M1, M5. Now I think M5 is a little bit too blocky. It's just this.